Ben Merz is taking us down memory lane on this high-density Grassini Family Vineyards in Happy Canyon in the Santa Barbara wine-growing region in California. Happy Canyon got its own AVA in November 2009, which seems odd since only 500 of the canyon's 23,941 acres are planted with grapes. But this is a happy and hot canyon, creating killer Cabernet Sauvignons on the most eastern slopes of an otherwise relatively mild growing area known for its world-class Pinot Noirs in Santa Rita Hills, 20 miles away and a bottle's throw from the Pacific Ocean. And why Happy? The canyon got its name during Prohibition. This was the only place in the North County with an operating still. Alcohol happy, there you go. The Grassini family came from Pisa in Italy in the early 1900s and were probably leaning as much as their famous tower when they started to drink their own product. In 2003, Ben Merz from Coastal Vineyard Care planted this high-density vineyard from the vines up.
Now we're at the Grassini Family Vineyard, and it's also in the Happy Canyon region. This is a newer vineyard which is planted to higher density. It's a 6x3 vineyard, so we have 2,420 vines per acre. This is one of the first vineyards that I ever sort of got to start from the ground up. This we planted in 2003. Mostly Cabernet Sauvignon out here. It's 15 acres of red grapes on the top, and then we have 15 acres of Sauvignon Blanc down in the flats. This is all 6x3 spacing, 2,420 vines per acre, which is a very high density, and the reason for that is because we wanted to have less pounds of fruit per vine, with the assumption that we would increase the quality and the grapes would have more concentration. And with that many vines per acre, you still get a pretty decent yield, only 2.5 pounds per vine, so you still can achieve 2.5–3 tons per acre. This is the future. The problem with these high density vineyards is that it's very expensive to develop because you have 3 times as many vines and stakes and that many more miles of trellis, and it's just very expensive to plant this way. $5 a vine, and this price of steel is through the roof right now, so it's hard to convince people to do it. But for ultra premium quality grapes, I don't see it any other way really. The payoff is quality, higher quality, meaning the payoff would be that you can sell your wine for more money per bottle. We're working with more and more people that's all they focus on, is how can we achieve the best possible quality off of this property. The way you do it, the way you start, by really going to more vines per acre. We prefer to farm this on a per acre basis, meaning we will sell not just per ton to the winemakers, but we will sell them on a per acre basis, and that can range anywhere from $8,500 per acre to $10,000 per acre. Us as growers, we have to protect the owners of the vineyard, our clients, to make sure that they can make money on a per acre basis. But at these very high levels of farming, if the winemaker says, okay, I'll pay you $10,000 per acre, that allows us then to do all these numerous passes throughout the growing season to tweak things exactly to their specifications, and the owner still ends up making money. This is about as high-end of farming as we know how to do, meaning that this is a 6-spur unilateral cordon. So we will prune this down to 6 spurs, and you can see how far apart these shoots are. So there's plenty of air movement, there's plenty of sunlight that gets into these, and then we'll shoot thin it to only 6 shoots. And then what we do afterwards is we will parallel shoot position these. So we never want these shoots to cross. So what we'll use is these, you can see these black clips here, these little black clips. So we'll wrap those around these shoots so they never have a chance to cross over with the other shoots. So we'll put one down here, one up here, one down here, one up here, one down here, one up there. So everything is completely parallel. And then, what that allows is for the fruit to never become congested with other clusters. It just keeps the fruit separate all the time. This is an actual leaf here, you can see that, but then there are lateral shoots that come off of the main shoot. And so what we'll do is we'll trim the lateral shoots, and we'll leave 1 or 2 leaves on each lateral shoot. And again, that allows to have, and most of the leaves have fallen off of these vines now, but that allows that filtered light effect to not give the clusters too much sun, but to give them just enough sunlight, which is kind of tricky out here because of how hot it is on the eastern part of the San Ynez Valley. We plant them lower. So this is actually a 26-inch fruit wire, which is still We're going lower and lower and lower, in different vineyards now. But this is pretty low. The standard is usually about 36 inches, and that's about waist high. And the idea with that is it's comfortable for the workers to not have to bend over. But what we're realizing, especially with Cabernet Sauvignon, we want to try to get as much heat, as much warmth onto these grapes, and so we're trying to get some radiated heat coming off of the ground as well. And the other special thing about this area is the soils. They're very rocky. They drain very well. Very lean soils, so the vines are not very vigorous, and they're not it's not too fertile. Down here in the bottom, where near the river, where the soil is very fertile, that's where we planted Sauvignon Blanc, because white varieties tend to be, in general, tend to be less vigorous. So we'll put them into the more vigorous soils to try to, if you planted Cabernet Sauvignon down in the river, you would have a huge weedy mess, and your fruit would taste like leaves rather than this concentrated fruit that we're after. Okay, está. We're striving to make it as good as any other Cabernet. We need to sort of undo a reputation that we've had, over the last 20 years. We've been growing Cabernet Sauvignon in parts of the valley that just aren't suitable for it, where it's too cool, and the old spacing, that 12x6 spacing where you only have 500 vines per acre, so you end up having 30 pounds of fruit on a vine. So the fruit it never has a chance to get fully ripe and to develop great flavors. Well, here, it's hot. Each vine has 2 pounds per vine, and it's warm, and the fruit wire is lower, and so we're tweaking this as much as we possibly can to try to make the best Cabernet Sauvignon possible. And I think that give us some time, and we'll be in the running, hopefully, with some of the top Cabernet Sauvignons from other regions of the world that already have established their reputation.